Hello, all you hardcore boxing fans out there. How you doing? It's Russ here from Porky's Corner, the voice of hardcore boxing. Today, I'm joined by Kent from Northern Ireland. How are you doing, Kent?
How you doing, Russell? Good to see you, mate.
All right, I'll just turn this phone off, otherwise we'll be pestered with Billy Joe Saunders fans. uh, I don't know where to start really. Did he quit? Yes or no?
Oh, so I'm very much like I know what the fighters do in and out of the ring. I know the dedication they take. I I don't like saying the word. I don't like saying the word quit for any fighter. I didn't like the way Triple D was treated. I don't like. I didn't like the commentary Triple D got. I didn't like the comments he got, and I was really annoyed about it.
No.
So I don't want to say that Billy Joe quit. I don't like saying any fighter quit,
Right.
but Billy Joe put a video out on one of the platforms, and he basically said that he would need his two cheeks smashed in, his jaw broke, his face caved in, and be carried out of the ring. And on Saturday night, we know what happened. So I think basically there was a massive revolt against a young fighter making his way up who sustained a really bad injury, and everybody tore him to shreds for weeks on certain platforms. And there has been the complete opposite response to the Billy Joe Saunders fight at the weekend. So
Right, Ken, listen to it. We're going off track here. When people ask politicians a question,
yeah,
you answered me like a politician. I'm not going to fall out with you. Did he quit? Yes or no? This is just a simple
yeah,
question. Right, thank you. Well, I believe he quit. He's a lot braver than me, right, for getting in the ring for starters. But my opinion is he quit. I know people that have give their opinion on social media. They're telling me a different story. They're going on social media saying, well, we can't say he quit, this and that, fighters have got to be respected. Look, forget all that. Did he quit? Yes or no? He quit. He didn't fight Mark Tibbs when he pulled him out. Mark Tibbs went on seconds out and said he didn't like the response he was getting from Bill. Billy did not try and stop Mark Tibbs stopping it. Mark Tibbs stopped the fight. Then obviously Billy were upset. Whatever happened after that, his dad tried to get in the ring and he got stopped by security. It's all immaterial. But the red flags have been there for 4 years now, haven't they? 5 years maybe more. Since he left Jimmy Tibbs, the red flags have been there. Inactivity, fighting at wrong weight. He's surrounded by this massive entourage of strength and conditioners and nutritionists. All these people on board, but yet they can't get him down to 160. But they're stripping him down to 168, 167. Take that other half a stone off. Get it to 160. Look, he was light on his feet when he was Dominic Ingle, wasn't he?
that's because he was boxing at middleweight.
Yeah.
It gets to this stage now where all these boxers they get to a certain level of fighting, and they get to a certain standard of living, and they think then because they've got that standard of living and they're at that standard of boxing, they can turn around and dictate how they train, what they do. He should never have left Jimmy Tibbs in the first place. He won British, Commonwealth, European titles with Jimmy Tibbs.
World title as well.
World title. And it gets that stage where they get to that point where they don't want to be told what to do anymore because they're a world champion. I thought he should never have left the Tibbses in the first place. When you're dictating to people what you can and cannot do in training, I think there's a massive problem. Discipline has been terrible. People can say what they want about Carano, the drugs test and all this and that. I don't want to. I know that.
Yeah.
But what I do know about Carano is he is in the gym all the time. He's never out of the gym. He'll probably be in the gym today doing something. So there's a fighter who's disciplined, who's been active, and who wants to get better. The minute a fighter doesn't want to do a run, doesn't want to do certain sessions.
It's over. It's over.
Complains about being tired, overtrained. I think you're done. I think you shouldn't be in that ring. I think, that you're right about what you said there, moving around trainers. He's been around 3 trainers in the last 4 years. That's and it can't be the trainer's fault. It can't be put down to the trainer. I think it has to be down to the fighter. I thought that what we were hearing during the week was we were hearing that we were going to get something. We were going to get a fight. Now, I feel really disappointed by it. I feel flat by it. And it's got to the stage now where I actually don't want to watch some of these fighters anymore because I'm hearing so much nonsense. He had a strength and conditioning coach out. He had a adaptation coach out. It didn't show on Saturday night. Now, the reason, one of the main reasons why he went up to super middleweight was when he failed the drugs test. Demetrius Andrade fought and won the vacant title, and after that he jumped. He didn't seem to want to fight Andrade at middleweight. He wanted to run up to super middleweight, and had that atrocious fight. I don't even know who that guy was. I don't know how Frank Warren pulled that he pulled that world title out of thin air. It was a terrible fight, terrible opposition, and they've been bluffing from it. I expected more. I seen a response from Derek James at the weekend, who is Charlo Brothers coach, and he says, "What was he doing? You go in and you fight. You're fighting a Mexican fighter who basically has an extra pair of lungs because of the altitude, who has been active, who's beat 20 world champions, has fought every 70 days.
Is that how many he's beat? 20? Fights. Is that how many he's beat now? 20?
20 world champions, Russell.
Well, he's equalled Mayweather's record then, hasn't he?
Yeah, so he said, Derek James says that you go in there and you're flicking jabs and stepping back. That's not the way to beat, the pound for pound number one in front of 73,000 fans. I was really disappointed. The first round, he tried to pivot and he got hit with an uppercut inside. He didn't pivot after that, and he was just flicking shots. I personally, I watched the fight 3 times. I watched it with commentary. I watched it without commentary, and I watched it on a different platform. Plus, I listened to it on 5 Live, and I at best I give him 2 rounds. At best,
1 and 5.
Yeah,
I gave him round 1 and 5. That's what a lot of people gave him, round 1 and 5. He squeaked them, didn't he? Squeaked them rounds, didn't he? As well, just
and you could have an argument there that Colano from the first bell, that Mexican style lead hand hook to the body, lead hand counter hook to the head. Wasn't doing lots, but what he was doing was effective. He was landing the shots, and Billy Joe just didn't want to engage. He just didn't want to get involved. I was really disappointed by the whole thing. We had the whole build up all week. We had the nonsense about the ring.
Yeah.
I was sick of hearing that. I was sick of hearing all the complaining about the promotional thing. All right, Eddie Hearn is with Colano. Colano's the money man there, but he got him the fight. He got him that opportunity.
Let me just say this, right? You're going on about Eddie Hearn there, right? Complaining about this ring, so that's just the narrative. They were never going to come back. But let me just say this: are you telling me you've got Canelo's team with Eddie Reynoso, you've got Eddie Hearn, you've got Dazon, Billy Joe, MTK, all these so-called big cheeses in boxing? Are you telling me in contract about ring size? Because I don't believe that. I think it's just their narrative that they had to spin fight week to add a bit of drama. That's all they did. Of course it's in contract. I've seen contracts before, loads of them. It would have been gloves, ring size, Who walks out? Canvas on ring, all the lot, belt buckles, everything. Who what? Bellman, judge. It's all there. I don't believe that a fight of this magnitude, right? Multi-millions on the table, and they've not put about ring size in. Whose chains are these people pulling? Come on.
These are contract stipulations that have been happening in world title fights since, you know,
19 not blob.
Yeah, these aren't new stipulations. These have been happening in fight contracts for years. Even millimeter of the sponge on the canvas. That's all. You know, Kleno even has his own brand of gloves. That was in the contract. Everything there, and the nonsense all week about we're getting a flight home. Well, that's okay. They could have done that, but they would have been sued for multi-million pounds of breach of contract. There's no way they were going to. Firstly, the camp, the money they've spent in the training camp. Do you honestly think, Russell, that they were going to get on a plane and come away from that whole situation with absolutely nothing just because of the size of the ring? I don't buy
it. Okay. What about the strength and condition team, the nutrition team? All these people around him. They've got Ben Davidson in corner, but Mark Tibbs has just done camp. They brought Ben Davidson in fight week. What's all that about? Isn't that disrespectful to Mark Tibbs?
It's just, it seems to be now that there is no honor in boxing. There is no loyalty in boxing. You've got all these strength and conditioning guys coming in, wearing their tracksuits, being around the camp, promoting their business. You know, if you need
sponges, what these people are sponges. We don't need strength and conditions in boxing, nutrition men. The trainer should be the man. The trainer should train and manage and tell them when to eat, when to sleep, when to go to bed, when to go to toilet. That's my opinion.
And you go back in time there when with Dillian White, you know, Mark Tibbs was a coach, and then there was a strength and conditioning coach come in and started handing him training schedules about what they needed to do and what absolute nonsense. And then you see them holding pads and doing boxing sessions. No, I don't see why Billy Joe Saunders would have needed a nutritionist, especially when he's making super middleweight. That's £8 more than what he was making at middleweight.
Exactly.
And you know, you look at his fights at middleweight, Russell. You look at the David Lemieux fight. You look at the Willie Monroe fight. You look at he won British, Commonwealth, European titles, world title against Andy Lee, all at middleweight, and looked good from super middleweight. I noticed at the weekend, Kleno just wanted to land the body. Every time Kleno was landing the body, you could see Billy Joe wincing. You could see him trying to be more compact with those hooks. So obviously, you know, I thought Billy Joe looked a bit fleshy, from he's went up to super middleweight.
Yeah. Do you feel that Billy Joe had never been in a firefight before, and the first time he did come up against a fight, he wanted out of the kitchen because it was red hot? You think that was what happened? It's
the first time he's faced real world-class, super world-class opposition. You know, he went life and death with Eubank Jr. Eubank Jr. at the time.
John Ryder as well. John Ryder.
A novice. John Ryder fight was a close fight, a really close fight.
I did it to Billy by a round, that, you know.
That was actually a really good fight. And John Ryder was going through like a period then where he wasn't really, he was a bit inconsistent performance-wise.
Yeah.
And he really pushed Billy Joe Saunders. So, you know, the Lemieux fight was you know, David Lemieux was tailor-made for Billy Joe Saunders. He's one way of fighting. He can't fight in the back foot. He was tailor-made. Willie Monroe Jr. really, was he world class? Was he? Not really. He was only really a gatekeeper. So it was one of those chances where it's the first time in his career I've actually seen he's been really hit and really, really tested by a world class fighter.
What next for Bill? Do you think he should retire?
Billy Joe Saunders has made a fortune from boxing. He's multiple businesses outside. He's land, he's property. An injury of that magnitude, how could the British Boxing Board of Control put him at risk, letting him fight again? How could they? I personally think that it would be a risk against his own health if the British Boxing Board of Control sanctioned Billy a license again with that triple fracture. No, he shouldn't fight again.
If he does fight again, would you like to see John Ryder, Eubank, and Callum Smith fight him?
I don't want to see him fight again. I don't mean that to be, someone with that injury getting into a fight is going to be at a disadvantage. Billy Joe Saunders could get himself in the best shape of his career. He could be shot, whatever. He's still going to be getting into that fight with a disadvantage no matter what. I don't want to see Billy Joe Saunders box again against anybody, because that's a really, really bad injury. That's a life-threatening injury, especially in the boxing ring.
Why can't these strength and conditioners that are hanging around him like Ponsers, why can't these Ponsers take him down to 160?
Because he doesn't want to fight at that weight. He doesn't want to fight at that weight. That's the whole thing. It was discipline. When you're going through coaches, you're going through 3 coaches in 4 years, there has to be a problem with discipline. And when you're dictating training wise what you want to do for training, I think there's a problem. So it's discipline. He doesn't want to fight. It's obviously too hard, too much work, too much discipline to get down to middleweight. The easy option was to jump up to super middleweight, when really he was never a super middleweight. So they're being paid. They're paying him. Billy Joe Saunders is paying the strength and conditioning coaches. The strength and conditioning coaches are there. They're saying, you know what? Well, he's paying me. I'm not going to disagree with him. The minute they disagree, out, sacked.
Do you feel that Ben Davidson played a blinder, because when him and Billy parted, he never said what had gone on, and he's hung around like a bad smell, and then he managed to get himself into position other night to get a few quid again? Do you think that that's why these people don't come out and say what they really want to say?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just about it's about keeping themselves in the picture and about keeping themselves in a position to earn. That's all it is. There seems to be no loyalty or no honor nowadays. If somebody left me as a coach, if I was coaching a pro fighter and they left me, and they came back again, I'd be like, no, go somewhere else. But this is their business. They'll do anything for money. They'll take a purse. They'll take a percentage. That's what they're in the business for. That's their job, and they will do it. They would do it with any boxer.
All right then. Moving on from the adventures of Tintin, we'll go down a different angle to this. Tyson Fury, Johnny Nelson, Tony Bellew, Spencer Oliver, Adam Smith all said that Daniel Dubois quit, but they've not come out and said a word yet on this fight. None of them have said a word. Normally, they're doing Sunday sermons like the rest of the sermon gang. They have not said a thing. Why do you think that is? Do you think they don't want to come out on record and say he didn't quit when they know he did? Or, because if they think that Billy Joe didn't quit, they'd come out of it. What would they come out and say? But do you think it's the old proverb of silence is golden?
Yeah, well, basically, it's the whole Matchroom thing. They're all on Matchroom. They're all on Sky. They are just trying to keep themselves sweet with the whole DAZN thing. They're all playing it safe. They're all walking on eggshells. If it would have been on a different platform, so let's just say Billy Joe was with Frank Warren again, they would probably be turning him to shreds. But because he is a matchroom fighter and they're all trying to jockey themselves into position, that's why they haven't said anything.
It's disappointing that Tyson, him being a big, close friend of Billy's, he's not said a thing. Has he? Why not?
Nobody has said anything at all, and it all goes down to the platform that they're on. And at this stage now, that boxing is really uncertain at the minute. With broadcaster, everyone's got themselves a cushy job. They've all got themselves in the position for access, so they're not really going to. They're afraid to say how they feel, because they'll not get access down the line.
What do you think to the Dave Caldwell, Dominic Ingalls sermons and Gareth A. Davis?
Well, firstly, Russell, Gareth A. Davis had Billy Joe Saunders winning the fight on
oh my God.
on Saturday night. So that's all I have to say about him. This is a guy who's never been in a fight in his life. I don't really want to listen to Gareth A. Davis talk about boxing, because I'm not just saying that I don't want to listen to someone because they haven't been in a fight. There's a lot of good pundits out there, and there's a lot of people out there who I would listen to probably haven't had a fight. But I really don't want to listen to him talk about anything. The only thing Gareth A. Davis seems to be interested about is Emily Bridges, and that whole interview was a disgrace on boxing.
Gareth A. Davis, and your computer into nearest cop shop.
So he doesn't have any credibility at any level. So that's where I am. And Gareth A. Davis, Dave Caldwell, this is the guy that was on and said that Derek Chisora beat Alexander Usyk, but 2 days later he retracted it. So I don't want to listen to him either. And Dominic Ingle, many failed drugs test has Dominic Ingle had in his gym. So I don't want to hear about him either. I don't want to listen to him either. I don't care what they say.
I see where you're coming from. There's a few people said the bar quit, obviously, and now they're saying that Billy didn't quit, and it's done my head in, basically. Done my head in. I don't know why the people have come out and said that. Maybe it's fear. They don't want to upset MTK. They don't want to upset Billy, or they don't want to upset traveling people in general. I don't know. I don't really care. But I must care a little bit because I'm mentioning it. There's no way on earth that he didn't quit. I saw it with my own eyes. And after everything that he said leading up to it, I can't get it out of my head. And I can't get out of my head these people coming out. We're defending him. We've all seen what Mark Tibbs said on Seconds Out. He said, I can't see out my eye, Mark. Mark Tibbs says, have you got another round in you? Mark said he didn't like what were coming back off him, so he stopped the fight. So it's not as if he's gone, yeah, I'm okay, I'll do another round, because that's not what he didn't like. We don't know what was said because it's all a bit cloak and dagger, but he looks like he didn't want to carry on. And Mark Tibbs has put in a bit of a tight situation here, hasn't he? Maybe they're trying to make out that he's the fall guy, Mark Tibbs. Do you think? Oh, Mark Tibbs pulled him out, but I wanted to continue. Till Billy does an interview, we're not going to get the real deal, are we? But all we're going to get is Anthony Gogo wheeled out, talking about bad eyes and stuff like that, which is unfortunate for him. But you can see the narrative where IFL are going with this, can't you? Not one person's gone on IFL and said Billy quit. If they do, they'll not put video out. That's not journalism, is it? That's not media, is it? That's closed shop, innit?
Yeah. It's the thing where Joe Gallagher said at the weekend. He said on 5 Live, he says that as an amateur coach and as a professional coach, his job was always to protect the fighter and bring them home safe. And he thought that what Mark Tibbs did was he could have saved his life in there, which that injury was absolutely, it was gruesome. It was a gruesome injury. So Mark Tibbs did what he had to do to save him.
But what you're forgetting, Ken, no, what you're forgetting is Mark Tibbs said to him, have you got another round in you?
Yeah.
This is after he said, I can't see out my eye. Back up to a 2-year-old Gatti saying to Buddy McGirt, I broke my hand. He goes, what do you want to do? He said, okay, coach, I'll carry on, coach, didn't he? That was Gatti.
Yeah.
Carl Froch, I'm not going to say what he told me happened after round 6 when George Groves were giving him it because he'd been punched all over for round 6. Carl Froch were took to a very dark place that night. You know that, don't you?
War.
Never said a word to McCracken. Never said a word. Never said a word except F me. He said F me. Well, he never said a word, but he was took to a dark place. And you're in like a fog of it's like a fog of mist. And you've got to come out of that. Clinton Wood's been in that with Roy Jones and he kept going. He tried to play poker with Roy Jones, doing a bit of a shuffle, doing an Ali shuffle, but Roy were pummeling him and eventually Dennis Filk towed him, but Clinton never said a word to the corner. He carried on. You're in like this hazy, misty fog, aren't you? And you're trying to find your way. And every time you're just trying to get your senses right, bang, you get clipped again. And it goes, and sometimes you can get hit that hard, it'll wake you up. But you've got to fight through it. Billy Joe had never been in that situation before. And that's because of the fights he'd been in. So that, to me, means his management have to take responsibility. He wasn't prepared to fight Canelo. You don't go from Martin Murray to Canelo. I'm sorry. You could have gone from Daniel Jacobs to Canelo. Callum Smith to Canelo. Not Martin Murray to Canelo. I'm sorry, mate.
Yeah, the response, wasn't good in the corner. So obviously, it could have been different. If the response had been the same and Mark Tibbs would have sent them out, he would. My word, he would. That would be totally different in the media. So the response wasn't good. Wasn't positive.
No.
He protected his fighter. He done his job.
Yeah.
He should not be made to be the fall guy in any way, shape, or form, because he protected him. He wasn't in that. My opinion was he wasn't in the fight. He had a couple of decent rounds. Everything
were saying it. Go on.
All the hard shots, many power shots that Billy Joe landed in that fight, none.
Right. The people who were saying he were in the fight and he were winning, right?
No.
I don't get that. Are these people frightened to death to have an opinion? Don't tell me he were winning that fight after 8 rounds. Please do not tell me that. You need to go and get involved with it and follow another sport. If anybody's got Billy Joe winning that fight after 8 rounds, go and have a look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, are you a hula hooper? Because that's what you are. Crawl out the back of his arsehole. There's no way on earth that he won any more than 2 rounds. And that was a squeak. They squeaked round 1 and round 5. Shoe shining. You're not going to beat Canelo shoe shining. He's going to walk you down. He's going to make you work and tire you out like Usyk. Tony Bellew were made to work against Usyk. He had no left when he got took out. These are elite fighters. Elite. Who's Billy Joe Saunders beat Andy Lee, David Lemieux, and who's the other one? Eubank. Right, that's it.
Yep.
That's it, right? Two of them stroke maybe 3 world champions, yeah, if you count IBO. And then who we got? He's beat 20. He's an elite guy. He's an elite fighter. And he's at his peak. He's the same age as Billy as well. Look, it's a harsh reality, but I don't think he gave himself the right opportunity. Put himself in position to beat a guy like Canelo. Inactivity, fighting it wrong way. He's not fought anybody since he beat Andy Lee. He fought Lemieux and that was like a sparring session to him. With tailor-made for him in a one-punch Larry. He's not put himself in best situation and he's got to look at himself. He's got to look at his team. He's got to look at his management team. He's got to look at what were happening after he beat Andy Lee. Where did it all go wrong? He dropped Jimmy Tibbs and Mark Tibbs. He then went doing what he wanted. Right? Oh, MTK will get you a fight. He fought that Akerhoff, didn't he, at Scotland? He got beat, didn't he? He squeaked by on that, but everybody said he got beat. That was with Ben Davison. And didn't he change? Didn't he get rid of him and get somebody else in or go back to him? Look, he dropped a client when he left Jimmy Tibbs, right? And then started going and doing what he wants outside of boxing. And then before you know where you are, you're in activity and your weight catches up. You can't knock weight off. Oh, you're jumping up a weight. He's 5'10.5", fighting at a super middle. Come on. The red flags have been there for years, haven't they, with him, right? They've been there with him for years. And like I said, nobody's going to come out and say it like we're saying it on here because everybody's arseholes twitching when they want to say out about Billy Joe. Squeaky bums, all these YouTubers, they've got squeaky bums. Like I just said in a video earlier, Kugan Cassius is the godfather to Billy Joe Saunders' niece. So there won't be any videos on IFL saying he quit, will there? Is that a conflict of interest? Of course it is. Kugan's got a big tattoo of her name on his arm, hasn't he, that girl? I ain't got no wrong against that, but it's a conflict of interest. He should be putting questions to people saying, do you think he quit? I bet you Shane McGuigan don't get a chance to go on IFL. I bet he does on Boxing Social, though. But there's no shame in quitting against Canelo with a bad eye injury, but don't tell me you're a roadman killer and a warrior and they'd have to carry you out on a stretcher. Don't tell me that. Don't have a go at Daniel Dubois. Good foot goose, good foot gander.
It's, you've got people as well like Tony Bellew, who was on slaughtering young Daniel Dubois.
He hadn't said a word, him. He hadn't come out and said a word. Then come out. Tony Bellew's telling people, I'm telling you now, he's telling people in the know that that's a quit. But he's not going to come out and say it. Colwell's doing the same, but he's come out and said opposite because he's a rat anyway. I'm saying it's a quit. What are they going to do? Do me in for having an opinion on boxing? Come and do it. I don't give a fuck. Point is, I won't be railroaded into saying things on my channel that I shouldn't. That don't need saying. I've had emails this morning about that one I did with Dale yesterday. Phone call. I don't care. I don't care whatsoever. I know I quit when I see it. If they don't like it, lump it. No to be ashamed of. Get over it. Stop being insecure. All these gimps from Gimpville Island emailing me. Like I said, there's people in industry saying he didn't quit, but they're telling me he did. So I'm like, well, don't come out on interviews saying opposite then. Grow a pair. Well, you know how it is. Got to wait with these people. What? Can you imagine this in football industry? If there were a goal offside, somebody saying, they beat him 2-1, but it were an offside goal. You can't say that. I've got to wait with him down line. What on earth is going on, mate? Are we all supposed to be silenced? Hey.
The whole thing about it is, no fighter's health is worth.
No, it is not. That's correct. That's correct. And if he's hurt, you don't want to carry on. Fair enough.
I hope he recovers fine. I hope Triple D recovers fine. But the harsh reality is, no fighter's health is worth risking for a promoter who doesn't care about them. For a £2 subscription a month, it's not worth it. It's not worth.
All right then, Ken, I'll ask you this, right? Are IFL going to put Billy Joe Saunders in an interview when he gets back from Dallas and say, Billy, what was said in the corner between you and Mark Tibbs? Because Mark Tibbs has said this on Seconds Out. He said, I didn't like the response. What was the response, Billy? Is Kugan Cassius going to ask him that? Yes or no? I'm telling you now, boom, they're going to batten up their matches because they're going to he'll be made to look a quitter. So silence is golden. That's what they're going to do. But the more he don't come out and say something, the better. Why don't he just come out and say, look, I've got kids. I've got to think of my family and my future. I've got millions in bank. I could have lost an eye carrying on. You come out and say that, and I'll be brilliant about it. But don't come out with this narrative on this poxy station, IFL, and all these other gimp channels. People doing sermons trying to pay private cracks to get in with certain people in industry. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. We all know what we fucking saw. He who dares, Rodders, he who dares. Fucking hell, man. Drive you crazy, this boxing game, weren't it? Aye.
Yeah, I feel the same. I just feel really frustrated with it, really pissed off with the whole week. The whole week's been exhausting. It was just a massive, massive anticlimax. And no, I felt today, like, you know what? I just feel like switching off because it's just getting worse and worse and worse. Not because of the fight, you know, not, you know, I don't want to see any fighter get hurt in the ring. I don't want to see any fighter going home to their families, you know, injured. But just the whole week has been absolutely exhausting. You know, it's the same. Last week it was the ring walk nonsense. This week it's the size of the ring, the gloves. It's just that it just seems to be now where there's a lot of fights over history that didn't need that. There's fights there that don't need the theatrics, and they would probably sell better if there was less of that. And it's just getting so commercial. It's just getting so commercial and cheap, and there's absolutely no kind of loyalty in the sport anymore.
Okay. Let me ask you this,
so
Kev.
Fed up.
Well, let me ask you this, because you've got more rattle. You've got more rattle than the baby's rattle, you. Right. After David Lemieux, if Billy Joe Saunders had fought 4 months later against Canelo at 160, is it a closer fight? Yes or no?
A lot closer.
Right. So who's to blame for fighting at 168 nearly 4 years later? Who's at fault?
It's himself. He's himself and his team.
It's a team. It's a team. It's him and his team. It's Billy Joe and the people around him. But when, oh, he's my pal, he's my pal, oh, he's my pal, he's my pal. When everybody's your pal, who do you blame? I mean, how on earth has he got Ben Davison on board, got rid of him, and then he's in corner talking over Mark Tibbs on the biggest fight of his life? Who's pulling strings here? His tail wagging dog. Are these Billy Joe Saunders decisions? Is Billy Joe Saunders going to be asked about this? Is somebody going to say to him, Billy, whose idea is it to have Ben Davison in corner when you've already got a trainer, Mark Tibbs, head trainer? Why is Ben Davison in corner? Why is he doing all talking? Who's your trainer? What's going on here? You pulled it out left, right and centre. Who's your trainer? Where's that stability gone from when he was with Jimmy Tibbs when he beat Andy Lee? He dropped Andy Lee twice as well. Fought great that night. Who's in his corner since then? Who's advising this kid? Who is advising him? Who? Somebody must be pulling his chain. He can't be making all them decisions. He's got rid of Ben Davison once. How come Ben Davison's back in corner? Why ain't nobody come out and said something? These are all questions that need asking. There needs to be an inquest. I don't want to see all this gone from ring, no interviews and all that carry on and nobody speaking about it. We deserve answers. Because we're hardcore boxing fans.
It's the whole loyalty thing now in boxing. There is absolutely no loyalty. And, you know, Mark Tibbs was there. He let Billy Joe come back in after leaving him. There's not very many coaches would do that. He trained him. He took time away from his own gym to train exclusively with Billy Joe, and they brought in Ben Davison on the night. You know, Mark Tibbs fought as an amateur. He's professional. He has been around boxing longer than probably Ben Davison has been on the planet.
Yeah, but Ken, this is how I look at it, right? In my opinion, right, if I were Mark Tibbs, I'd look at Ben Davies and I'd say, what are you hanging around Billy for like a bad smell? What are you hanging around for like a bad smell? He's let you go once. He's got rid of him. Won it twice. I mean, I think he's got rid of him twice now, hasn't he? He got rid of him after Akafov, didn't he? And then after another fight, he got Dominic in between, and then Mark Tibbs. What's going on? What are you hanging about for? Because he's MTK boy, isn't he, Davidson? He's an MTK man, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the in-house coacher for
So
for
what's he hanging around? Why? If I were Mark Tibbs, I'd be like, why are you fucking hanging around my team, my fighter, like a fucking bad smell? Why? Why are you hanging about, you? Like a bad smell, doing your fucking sermons on internet every Sunday fucking morning or Monday mass. What are you doing hanging around my fucking fighter? That's what I would say to him. Nobody's saying a word, are they?
Mark Tibbs was in that position on Saturday night. If it would have been personally me or another coach, I would say, Billy, know what it is. Just give me my payment, give me my fee, and you can work away with Ben in the corner, because I'm not. I would do that, but he spent so much time in camp with him. You know, he's due payment. He's due his percentage or his purse or whatever.
You've got to look at it like this, Kent, right? You got all these people, right, hanging around like bad smells. They all want feeding, watering, and putting up. They're all hanging about, mate. Like, this is how I look at it. Right? Why? They're doing all these interviews, right? All these people, they're all hanging. They're all in fight week in Dallas and all that. At least everybody's having a great time and all that. Everybody's doing interviews, but everybody's making it about themselves. It's about Billy Joe. It's about Billy Joe. It's his week. Not everybody else's fucking week. Everybody else is turning it into opportunities for themselves. You people like Gareth A. Davis and Tyson Fury strutting about like a superstar. Well, fair enough. But it's about Billy. Tyson should have snuck into that ring 10 o'clock at night, very quiet, and gone and took his seat and stayed out of the limelight. But they can't help themselves for a bit of fame. And Billy, in my opinion, did too much media in fight week. Somebody should be saying to him, here, Bill, rein it in a bit here, rein it in a bit. He should have knocked it on head, all them media commitments. It's draining that, it drains you.
The person I felt most sorry for in the Billy Joe Saunders camp was the guy called Tom Watts. He seemed genuine. He seemed to be trying his best all week.
Who's he like?
He was the only
manager.
He was the camp manager.
Yeah.
And he was the only person from that whole team that actually defended Billy Joe Saunders' dad when he got speared by the security. He was the only one to jump over and come.
What do you mean he got speared? Did he get hit by an elbow? Did he get hit by an elbow?
Basically, when Billy Joe was stopped, Colano got lifted up, and basically Tom jumped over the fence and tried to get access, and basically a security guard rugby tackled him and sent him about 10 feet across. Then there was fisticuffs. Tom Watts jumped in and came to his dad's aid. There was Tyson there, there was Tommy there, there was a strength and conditioning coach there, there was a nutritionist there.
They didn't do nothing, did they, Tommy and Tyson? Because they're there for themselves. They're there for themselves, mate.
No.
Listen to me. Every man for themselves, mate. Could you imagine these lot as you co-accused in court? Can you imagine being in court with all these lot? You're all in dock. You know what's going to happen, don't you? You're going to get plenty. You're going to get some. Can you imagine all them lot as you out on town with that lot and something happens? Unbelievable, mate.
And
I will say this though: the Tyson's he can't miss him, can you? So you're in an awkward position if you do jump in. But I would have liked to have seen him try and separate it, not start hitting people, but at least protect Billy Joe's dad. But it didn't happen, did it? And this is why I think there's people who are there for themselves, mate. Every man for themselves.
Tom was just going in to check on his son, and he did not deserve to be treated like that. He did not deserve.
That were awful. What happened to Tom? That were awful. What happened to Tom Saunders? Because I've heard he's a pretty stand-up guy. I
like Tom Saunders. I followed him for a couple of years. His interviews, what he was saying, and he's for me seems a decent, honourable guy, and he didn't deserve that. Tom Watts, the camp manager, was the only person there that came to his aid, and it was terrible. It just made the whole experience a really terrible night for British boxing.
Yeah,
it did.
Yeah, I can imagine, mate.
This is. Let's go back. This just goes to show you, Russell, that now that Eddie Hearn does not care about British boxing, because basically the British boxing have lost another world champion. How many champions has Eddie Hearn, UK British-based fighters, brought over to America and have lost?
All they're doing, mate, is feeding them to Mexicans, aren't they? That's all they're doing. Loads. I could give you a list. Look, I give you a list as long as we are, mate. But that's what. Look, they're not bothered. It's a look. Eddie Hearn don't do friends. It's money. It's money. Look, that fight to me. Look, it was like a knockover job for Canelo. They both got belts at that weight class, but really, it weren't like a unification, was it? Really, it was like Canelo was going to fight Billy Joe and beat him. It's not even a 50-50 fight, was it? That's how the gulf was. But Billy Joe's, he's not got the signature wins to be in there with that man, has he? I mean, they put Rocky Fielding in with him. I mean, that's just about sums boxing up, doesn't it? Rocky Fielding in with Canelo.
You're 100% right on what you said. You go back 4 years ago, straight after the Lumu fight, when he was sharp, evasive. He was at middleweight. He would have given Triple G and he would have given Cano absolutely nightmares. Now we're 4 years down the road, 3 trainers, inactivity. Really, if Eddie was looking after Billy Joe Saunders' his best interest, he would have got him a big fight against somebody like a Daniel Jacobs, as a prerequisite to see if he was actually ready and still have it at that level. And if he came through it well, the fight would have been on, but he didn't. They just seemed to get the belt off him and throw him to the wolves.
It didn't work for Billy Joe Saunders with Adam Booth, did it? So he can't go to Adam Booth. Go to Adam Booth! He's the best! The Dark Lord! Or is it Darth Vader? What's it? Dark Lord, isn't it?
It's a Dark Lord. We had Caldwell on at the weekend straight away. It was like Dave Caldwell was like a rat up a drain pipe.
Auditioning for a job. That's all they were doing, auditioning for a job. So with Dominic Ingle, he didn't quit, man. They did great to stop him. And look, these people would turf Mark Tibbs out on his ear-roll if they could. They have not got a care in the world. All these Sunday sermon gang, your Caldwells, your Dominic Ingles, people like that, they would turf Mark Tibbs out on his ear-roll. So go and get gone. We're back. We're on the scene now. Look at Caldwell when he were texting Dylan White 2 years before he ended up in camp with him. Tried to work his little number there, didn't he? Behind that, he was trying to work one behind Mark Tibbs' back, and then when he eventually got involved when Mark Tibbs left, he was trying to work one behind that Xavier's back, and look what happened. He got knocked out by Povetkin. Look, these people have got no scruples. Isn't that right, Caldwell and Flex Ingle? Jim is that way. So, look, we're just trying to add a bit of comedy element to it on this. If you're offended, I don't care. Jog. We're just going to tell it straight. We're a hard-hitting channel. We're just going to tell it as we see it. And if you come out with rubbish and you're a hypocrite, we will be all over you like a rash. Anyway, I've had enough today. I just want to finish on this. I thought Beefy Smith got robbed in Russia, did you?
Yeah. Absolutely robbed.
I feel for Beefy Smith, but Eddie won't care about him now. He didn't care about him when he had him. He's fought Eggington and some geezer in Russia. That's it. That's it now. He looks like he's going to be going back to Frank. Just like if Billy Joe comes back, he'll go back to Frank. But he'll be 2 years out at ring him, and he'll probably never fight again. You know what'll happen? He'll end up borrowing one of Tyson Fury's Hawaii shirts in about a year when he's about 18 stone. I'm telling you now.
Frank Warren, Russell, is not going to spend money now on Billy Joe Saunders and on Beefy Smith when they've already left him. There's no way that Frank, I don't even think has that money now to do that. So I can't see Frank taking any, especially investing money now with a fighter coming to the end of their career. So I can't see it happening. It looks to me, Russell, right? So Frank lost Billy Joe Saunders to Matchroom. Frank lost Beefy Smith to Matchroom. Frank basically got both fighters British, Commonwealth, European, and world title fights and won them. So basically, it looks to me like Eddie has just took those fighters off Frank Warren just to hurt the promotional outfit. It looks that way because he hasn't really done anything for either of those guys since he signed them.
Yeah. Okay then. Okie dokie. Thanks for coming on, Kent. We'll put this on normal channel and get it straight out, eh? Time is it now? 1:45. We'll get this straight out. Put it straight out. I can't be bothered with any of that live chat. I don't know whether to put it out at 6 o'clock. Yeah, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll put it out at 6 o'clock on live chat. Let it build up a bit. Premiere it. What do you think would be a good title? Kent says Billy Joe quit.
No, do you know what? I hope he recovers and I hope he's healthy and I hope he realizes that, there was people, within that promotional outfit that didn't really want him to do well. They just kind of fed him in for Colano. He's made a lot of money and I hope he does the right thing that suits him. I hope he suits himself and I hope he doesn't suit other people. He's a British, Commonwealth, European world champion, which, not a lot of fighters want to even do that now. So I think he's done enough from boxing and I hope he's okay.
Yeah, I hope Billy Joe's okay. But don't tell me you didn't quit, Billy. When you come out and do your sermon on IFL, I want to see proper questions. I'm boxing me through and through. And when Billy Joe retires, we'll all be on to the next one, won't we? But let's have some transparency in the sport, IFL. Let's not be taking a piss from a balcony all over at fans. All right, let's have some transparency.
One thing I didn't like at the weekend, where I seen Eubank Jr. celebrating and, celebrating his bet and laughing and joking about Billy. Eubank Jr. is going to get himself in a position here where he can't run away and he can't avoid anyone. So if that, happened to Billy Joe Saunders at the weekend, what would happen to Eubank Jr. if he fought Colano?
He's a tosser, Eubank. Eubank Jr., you're a tosser. And so is your dad.
I didn't like that. I don't like anyone, celebrating anyone's, downturn in boxing, especially when it can happen to them. And so let's just see what happens to him.
Did you see Tunde Ajayi and Spencer Fearon?
No, I didn't see them.
Tunde Ajayi said he quit. Spencer Fearon said, no, he didn't. But Spencer Fearon said Dubois quit. And Spencer Fearon's an MTK man as well. He's hanging out at the back of MTK. So as far as I'm concerned, that's another one who's chatting utter rubbish. Another one. It's only 19 today, that. We're doing well, aren't we? See if we can get it up to 50. Most we've had 49. Come on, bring them 8 calls here. Don't forget. It's not a hard number to get. Only got to look on board. Ring it. Come on, ring it. You know, say no. Piss off. No, I get that all day, mate. You know what I mean? They'll ring my mobile if they want. I better turn it on. Okie dokie then. Well, listen, you take care. All right. I hope you don't get any aggravation for coming on here, because there's people that do want to come on here, but they're like, see what I mean? There's people who do want to come on here, but they won't because they're frightened. Don't be frightened of having an opinion, all right? Because there's talkers and there's smoky bacon walkers. All right, Kent lad. You take care. Thanks for coming on. You want a main man on here. One of my main men. Where's Chris Ward? Have you retired, Chris Ward? I'm still waiting for your phone call. All right, I'll have to replace you with Chris Burns. All right, peace out, Kent. Cheers, pal.
Take care.